In a world consumed by noise, haste, and endless distractions, the path of God's chosen ones stands apart as a sacred journey of purpose, alignment, and grace. This journey is not marked by external achievements or public recognition, but by the quiet, transformative work that takes place within the soul. To walk this path requires a deep trust in God's plan, an intentional cultivation of spiritual disciplines, and a willingness to embrace moments of stillness and reflection. Have you ever felt the weight of an unspoken calling or the stirring of something greater on the horizon, yet found yourself unsure of how to proceed? This feeling is no accident. It is a divine invitation to step into a life of deeper faith, resilience, and alignment with God's will. But this path is not always clear or easy. It demands patience in the face of uncertainty, the wisdom to embrace silence, and the discipline to protect the sacredness of the journey. This message unfolds across 6 essential principles, each designed to guide you in navigating your spiritual journey with clarity and purpose. You will discover the power of trusting in God's perfect timing, the transformative practice of silence, and the importance of reflection and preparation. You will learn how to avoid the distractions of external noise, cultivate inner peace and resilience, and align yourself with God's calling in a way that honors His purpose. Each principle builds upon the last, weaving together a roadmap for living as one of God's chosen. This is not a journey of instant gratification or easy answers, but one of profound growth, faith, and discovery. Together, these 6 principles will equip you to step into the fullness of your calling with wisdom, strength, and unwavering trust in the one who has called you. Let us now begin this sacred exploration, one step at a time. Part 1. Divine Timing and Trust. The journey of faith often requires believers to step into the unknown, trusting in the plans of God, even when they are not fully revealed. This message begins by reminding us that God's timing is perfect, and His plans are meticulously crafted for each individual. However, these plans often unfold in ways that challenge our patience and obedience. The video draws attention to the fact that blessings or instructions from God are sometimes given in fragments, compelling us to lean into trust rather than seeking immediate clarity. This intentional delay serves a greater purpose. By not revealing everything at once, God encourages His chosen ones to develop resilience, faith, and a deeper reliance on His guidance. This process isn't always comfortable, especially when the world around us demands immediate action, visible progress, or explanations. The need for trust becomes even more evident when we face moments of doubt or uncertainty. These moments are not signs of abandonment, but rather opportunities to exercise faith in ways that transform our character and deepen our spiritual connection. Biblical examples are used to illustrate the wisdom of trusting in divine timing. The story of Joseph is particularly striking. Joseph's dreams of greatness, shared prematurely with his brothers, led to betrayal and suffering. While God ultimately used these events to fulfill a greater purpose, Joseph's initial trials could have been avoided had he exercised caution and discretion. Similarly, Nehemiah, tasked with rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, wisely kept his plans private until the right time. This allowed him to prepare thoroughly and avoid unnecessary opposition, ensuring the success of his mission. The lesson here is clear. Divine timing requires trust, patience, and careful stewardship of the insights or blessings we receive. Sharing too soon or acting without discernment can expose us to envy, criticism, or doubt, which may derail the progress of God's plans in our lives. Trusting in God's timing also means accepting that some seasons are meant for preparation rather than action. It is during these periods that our faith is refined, our vision becomes clearer, and our readiness to fulfill God's purpose is strengthened. This trust also requires humility. Accepting that we do not have control over every detail of our journey reminds us to surrender our own agendas and align with God's will. When we let go of the need for certainty or immediate results, we open ourselves to the peace that comes from knowing that God's plans are for our ultimate good. By focusing on trust and obedience, we cultivate a spiritual discipline that enables us to step into the future with confidence, even when the path ahead is unclear. The video emphasizes that God's chosen ones are called to walk by faith and not by sight. This means embracing the unknown with the assurance that every step is guided by a divine purpose. It is a reminder that we are part of a larger narrative, one in which every delay, every challenge, and every moment of waiting serves a purpose in the unfolding of God's perfect plan. By trusting in His timing, we position ourselves to receive His blessings in their fullness, at the exact moment they are meant to come into our lives. As believers, it is important to reflect on whether we are truly walking in trust, or if we are allowing fear, doubt, or impatience to cloud our faith. Trusting in God's timing is not a passive act. It requires active surrender, prayer, and alignment with His Word. It also means being willing to protect the sacredness of our journey, keeping certain things private until the right moment to share them arrives. By doing so, we honor God's wisdom and demonstrate our faith in His ability to bring His plans to fruition in ways that exceed our understanding. The first part of the message concludes with a call to embrace this season of waiting as an opportunity to deepen trust in God. Rather than viewing delays or uncertainty as obstacles, believers are encouraged to see them as integral parts of their spiritual growth. Through trust and obedience, we align ourselves with God's timing and prepare to step into the fullness of the purpose He has set before us. The journey may be challenging, but it is also deeply rewarding as it draws us closer to the heart of God and the destiny He has lovingly prepared for us. Part 2. The Power of Silence. Silence is often misunderstood in a world that thrives on noise, constant activity, and outward expressions. Yet for those seeking spiritual growth and divine connection, silence becomes an essential practice. The video introduces the concept of silence not as mere absence of sound, but as a powerful spiritual tool, a space where clarity, peace, and wisdom can flourish. For God's chosen ones, silence is presented as a form of protection, a sacred shield that guards their spiritual progress from external distractions and influences. The speaker highlights how the temptation to share every thought, plan, or accomplishment can dilute the strength of those moments. In today's culture, where validation often comes from likes, comments, and external approval, there is a subtle danger of losing the sacredness of one's inner experiences. The video challenges viewers to question this impulse. What if our greatest growth happens in the hidden places, away from the applause and judgment of others? Silence, then, is not a restriction, but an opportunity to cultivate depth and resilience. Drawing from Scripture, the speaker points to Proverbs, which teaches that even a fool is considered wise if they remain silent. This profound wisdom reminds us that silence holds a unique power. It allows us to conserve our energy, protect our spiritual insights, and align more deeply with God's guidance. When we talk excessively, we may inadvertently seek affirmation or energy from others, trying to fill voids that only God can truly satisfy. Silence redirects that focus inward, revealing that the strength and peace we seek are already within us, waiting to be nurtured. The practice of silence is not about muting oneself permanently or withdrawing from meaningful communication. Instead, it is an intentional choice to refrain from unnecessary speech, particularly in moments where speaking might dilute the sanctity of an idea or invite distractions. Ecclesiastes underscores this wisdom, reminding us that there is a time to be silent and a time to speak. Recognizing when to embrace silence is part of spiritual maturity, a discipline that requires patience and discernment. Silence is also a gateway to spiritual awakening. It creates a space where we can tune out the clamor of the world and tune into the whispers of our soul. The video likens silence to a hidden garden, a sanctuary where seeds of wisdom and purpose are planted and nurtured. This sacred stillness allows believers to listen to the voice of God more clearly, free from the noise of external opinions and judgments. The quiet becomes a vessel through which divine revelations can flow, guiding us toward our true purpose. The video emphasizes the energy-saving aspect of silence. By refraining from unnecessary conversations, idle gossip, or impulsive reactions, believers can conserve their energy for more meaningful pursuits. Silence also sharpens one's ability to observe and discern. As the speaker points out, words can be deceptive, but the energy and intentions behind them often reveal deeper truths. Through silence, believers develop a heightened sensitivity to these subtleties, allowing them to navigate relationships and situations with greater wisdom and clarity. The example of Jesus is used to illustrate the transformative power of silence. Throughout his ministry, Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to pray and reconnect with the Father. This practice was not a retreat from his mission, but a way to draw strength, wisdom, and guidance. His intentional silence at times also demonstrated humility and trust in divine timing. For instance, when Jesus instructed those he healed to remain silent about their experiences, it was a deliberate act to ensure that the glory of his work would unfold at the appointed time. For believers today, the challenge is to embrace silence as a form of spiritual discipline. This involves resisting the urge to overshare, seeking validation, or reacting impulsively to the noise around us. Silence becomes a tool for protecting one's inner peace and staying aligned with God's purpose. It is not an act of avoidance, but of alignment, a way of preserving the sanctity of one's spiritual journey. The video encourages viewers to think of silence as a gift, a space where they can reflect, pray, and grow without interference. It likens the process to a farmer tending a seed, protecting it from the elements until it is strong enough to thrive. Similarly, silence allows ideas, dreams, and spiritual revelations to take root and grow in strength before being shared with the world. When the time comes to speak, those words will carry authenticity and power because they were cultivated in the fertile soil of quiet contemplation. The power of silence lies in its ability to transform not only the individual, but also their interactions with the world. As believers practice silence, they become more intentional with their words, using them to build up rather than tear down, to inspire rather than distract. Silence is not just an absence of noise, but a presence of mindfulness and intentionality. It is a practice that deepens one's relationship with God, fortifies the soul, and prepares the believer to step confidently into their divine purpose. Through silence, believers discover the strength, wisdom, and peace that God has already placed within them. Part 3. Reflection and Preparation. In the spiritual journey of God's chosen ones, reflection and preparation play a pivotal role. These practices are closely tied to the discipline of silence, but extend further, emphasizing the importance of nurturing one's inner world before stepping into action. The video explores how periods of reflection and preparation are not merely passive states, but dynamic processes that strengthen one's connection with God, foster clarity, and build a solid foundation for the future. The metaphor of a hidden garden is central to understanding this concept. Just as a gardener protects young seeds from harsh elements, believers are called to shield their ideas, dreams, and spiritual insights during their early stages of development. Sharing these prematurely can expose them to criticism, doubt, or even sabotage, which can hinder their growth. Reflection allows believers to discern whether an idea is ready to be revealed, or if it still requires time to mature. This approach isn't about fear or secrecy, but about wisdom and stewardship, recognizing that some things need privacy to flourish. The biblical story of Nehemiah serves as a powerful illustration. When God placed it on Nehemiah's heart to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he did not rush to announce his plans. Instead, he spent time in prayer and preparation, quietly seeking God's guidance and laying the groundwork for his mission. His initial silence was an act of strategic wisdom, allowing him to move forward without unnecessary opposition or distractions. This story teaches that preparation in silence can often be more impactful than immediate action. It underscores the value of aligning one's actions with God's timing and ensuring that the foundation is strong before building upon it. Reflection is not limited to practical planning, it is deeply spiritual. It involves introspection and an honest assessment of one's heart, motives, and alignment with God's will. By taking time to reflect, believers can identify areas where they need growth or healing, allowing them to approach their calling with humility and authenticity. Reflection also creates space to recognize God's work in their lives, fostering gratitude and strengthening faith. In this quiet space of reflection, believers are reminded of God's faithfulness and the ways He has equipped them for the journey ahead. Preparation, on the other hand, is the active counterpart to reflection. It involves taking deliberate steps to equip oneself for what lies ahead. This might include studying Scripture, deepening one's prayer life, or acquiring new skills that align with God's purpose. The video highlights that preparation is not about striving in one's own strength, but about collaborating with God, allowing Him to shape and direct the process. It is a time of building resilience and readiness so that when the moment comes to act, one can do so with confidence and clarity. The speaker emphasizes that preparation is also about protecting the sacredness of the mission. This protection often involves discretion, choosing carefully whom to share one's journey with and when to do so. Not everyone will understand or support the vision God has placed in a believer's heart. In fact, sharing too soon can invite discouragement, envy, or even outright opposition. The story of Joseph is a cautionary example. His decision to share his dreams with his brothers led to betrayal and hardship. While God ultimately used these circumstances for good, Joseph's story reminds us of the importance of discretion during the preparation phase. In this context, the act of preparation becomes a spiritual practice, much like prayer or fasting. It requires discipline, patience, and trust in God's timing. It also involves surrendering the outcome to God, acknowledging that He is the ultimate architect of the mission. By focusing on preparation, believers demonstrate their faith in God's plan and their willingness to do their part in bringing that plan to fruition. Another important aspect of preparation is the cultivation of inner peace. The video emphasizes that preparation is not just about external readiness, but also about internal alignment. When the heart is at peace, free from anxiety and distraction, believers can approach their calling with a clear mind and a steady spirit. This inner peace is cultivated through practices like prayer, meditation, and conscious silence, all of which allow believers to remain rooted in God's presence. The video concludes this section by encouraging viewers to embrace periods of reflection and preparation as gifts rather than burdens. These times are opportunities to draw closer to God, gain clarity, and strengthen one's faith. They are not delays or detours, but essential steps in the journey toward fulfilling God's purpose. By taking the time to reflect and prepare, believers honor God's process and position themselves to step into their calling with wisdom and confidence. Ultimately, reflection and preparation are acts of faith. They demonstrate trust in God's timing and a willingness to align one's actions with His will. They remind believers that every great mission begins in the quiet places, where seeds are planted, nurtured, and protected until they are ready to bloom. Through reflection and preparation, God's chosen ones are equipped not only to step into their purpose, but to do so in a way that glorifies Him and inspires others. Part 4. Avoiding external noise. In a world brimming with distractions, constant chatter, and endless opinions, one of the greatest challenges for God's chosen ones is learning to tune out the external noise. The video addresses this struggle, emphasizing that external noise is not just about literal sounds, but also the barrage of influences, criticisms, and expectations that can pull believers away from their divine purpose. Avoiding this noise is essential for maintaining focus, protecting spiritual growth, and staying aligned with God's guidance. The temptation to share every thought, achievement, or struggle with others is a common one. Social media, in particular, has created a culture where validation often comes from external approval, likes, comments, and public recognition. While sharing can sometimes inspire or connect with others, it can also expose one's spiritual journey to unnecessary scrutiny or even derailment. The video cautions against this impulse, urging believers to guard their hearts and protect the sacredness of their experiences. Not every revelation or insight is meant to be shared immediately, and not everyone is equipped to understand or support what God is doing in one's life. Biblical examples highlight the wisdom of avoiding external noise. The story of Mary, the mother of Jesus, provides a profound illustration. After the angel Gabriel revealed her divine mission, Mary did not rush to announce it to the world. Instead, she treasured these things in her heart, reflecting on them quietly. This deliberate choice allowed her to align with God's timing and process the magnitude of her calling without interference. Similarly, Jesus often withdrew from crowds to pray in solitude, seeking strength and guidance from the Father rather than relying on external affirmation. The video explains that external noise often manifests as opinions, doubts, or distractions that can cloud one's judgment. When believers share their dreams or plans prematurely, they may encounter resistance or negativity that plants seeds of uncertainty. These reactions, while often unintentional, can lead to self-doubt or second-guessing God's direction. To counter this, the video advises practicing discernment, being selective about what is shared and with whom. Trusted confidants who share one's faith and values can provide encouragement. But even then, discretion is key. Avoiding external noise is not about isolating oneself completely. Rather, it is about creating boundaries that preserve inner peace and focus. This might involve setting limits on social media use, being mindful of the conversations one engages in, or choosing to step away from environments that feel overwhelming or draining. The goal is not to reject the world, but to navigate it intentionally, ensuring that external influences do not overshadow the voice of God or disrupt one's spiritual journey. The speaker emphasizes that noise often thrives on reaction. The more we engage with distractions, whether they are arguments, criticism, or the constant pull of social obligations, the more energy we lose. This energy, which could be directed towards spiritual growth or fulfilling God's purpose, is instead scattered and depleted. By practicing conscious silence and intentional restraint, believers can reclaim this energy and channel it into meaningful pursuits. Silence becomes a powerful tool for regaining control over one's focus and protecting the sacredness of the journey. Another layer of external noise comes from the tendency to compare oneself to others. In a culture that celebrates visibility and outward success, it can be tempting to measure one's progress against that of peers or societal standards. The video warns against this, reminding viewers that God's plans for each individual are unique. Comparing one's journey to others not only distracts from God's purpose, but can also lead to feelings of inadequacy or envy. Instead, believers are encouraged to keep their eyes fixed on God, trusting that His timing and plans are perfect. Avoiding external noise also requires a shift in mindset. It involves recognizing that not every opinion or piece of advice is relevant or helpful. While feedback can be valuable, it is ultimately God's guidance that should take precedence. The video encourages viewers to cultivate a deep relationship with God through prayer, scripture, and reflection. In doing so, they can discern His voice amid the noise and remain anchored in His truth. The practice of avoiding external noise is deeply connected to the concept of inner peace. When believers remove distractions and focus on their relationship with God, they create a space where clarity, wisdom, and strength can thrive. This peace is not merely the absence of chaos, but the presence of God's assurance, a steady calm that allows believers to navigate challenges with confidence and grace. The video emphasizes that this inner peace is both a gift and a discipline, one that requires consistent effort to maintain. In conclusion, avoiding external noise is not about turning away from the world, but about choosing what to engage with and what to let go. It is a practice of discernment, humility, and intentionality that enables believers to stay focused on their divine purpose. By setting boundaries, practicing silence, and anchoring themselves in God's guidance, believers can protect their spiritual growth and remain aligned with His will. This discipline, though challenging, leads to a deeper connection with God and a clearer understanding of the path He has set before them. Through this focused and intentional approach, God's chosen ones can navigate the noise of the world without losing sight of the sacred calling they carry. Part 5. The discipline of patience and strategic silence. Patience and strategic silence are two intertwined disciplines that play a crucial role in the lives of God's chosen ones. These practices are not merely about waiting passively or withholding words, but about fostering a deep, intentional alignment with God's purpose and timing. The video explores how these disciplines serve as tools for spiritual growth, resilience, and clarity, helping believers navigate their journey with wisdom and grace. The first element, patience, is framed as an active virtue rather than a passive state. Waiting on God's timing requires trust, faith, and a willingness to surrender control. Patience is not simply enduring delays, but embracing them as opportunities for preparation and transformation. It is in these periods of waiting that believers are often refined, gaining the strength, wisdom, and perspective necessary to fulfill their calling. The video reminds viewers that God's timing is perfect, and the waiting seasons are an integral part of His plan. These seasons teach reliance on God, offering valuable lessons that could not be learned through immediate action. Strategic silence complements patience by creating a protective space where ideas, dreams, and spiritual revelations can grow undisturbed. The video emphasizes that not every thought or plan is meant to be shared immediately, and not every audience is ready to receive what God has placed in one's heart. Silence, in this context, becomes a shield, a way to safeguard the sacredness of the journey and prevent external forces from interfering with God's work. The discipline of silence requires discernment, knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet, when to act and when to wait. The video draws on biblical examples to illustrate the power of patience and silence. Nehemiah's decision to keep his mission to rebuild Jerusalem's walls private until the right moment is a testament to the wisdom of strategic silence. His initial discretion allowed him to seek God's guidance, plan thoroughly, and avoid unnecessary opposition. Similarly, Jesus often practiced silence, withdrawing to quiet places to pray and align with the Father's will. His life demonstrates that silence is not a retreat, but a source of strength, a way to remain focused and grounded in one's purpose. Patience and silence also serve as forms of protection. By keeping plans and dreams private during their early stages, believers shield them from criticism, doubt, or envy that might weaken their resolve. The story of Joseph offers a poignant reminder of this principle. When Joseph shared his dreams of greatness with his brothers, their jealousy led to betrayal and hardship. While God ultimately redeemed the situation, Joseph's experience highlights the potential dangers of speaking too soon. Strategic silence, therefore, is not about secrecy, but about stewardship, ensuring that what God has entrusted to us is nurtured and protected until it is ready to be revealed. The video emphasizes that silence is not a sign of weakness or fear, but of wisdom and strength. Choosing to remain silent in certain situations demonstrates self-control and a deep trust in God's plan. Proverbs 17:28 underscores this truth. Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent, and discerning if he holds his tongue. Silence allows believers to conserve their energy, focus on their mission, and avoid unnecessary conflicts or distractions. It is a discipline that requires humility, as it often involves resisting the urge to defend oneself, seek validation, or assert control over situations that are ultimately in God's hands. Patience, too, requires humility and a willingness to trust God's timing over one's own desires. The video likens the process to planting a seed. A farmer does not dig up the seed daily to check its progress. Instead, they nurture it with care, trusting that it will grow in due time. Similarly, believers are called to nurture their dreams and spiritual insights with patience, allowing them to develop fully before revealing them to the world. This waiting period is not a time of inactivity, but a season of preparation, where believers can seek God's guidance, refine their skills, and strengthen their faith. Both patience and silence create space for divine revelation. In the stillness of waiting and the quiet of silence, believers are more attuned to God's voice. The video highlights that noise, whether external or internal, can drown out the subtle whispers of the Holy Spirit. By embracing these disciplines, believers create an environment where they can hear God more clearly, discern His will, and align their actions with His purpose. These practices also cultivate inner peace, providing a refuge from the chaos of the world and a foundation for spiritual resilience. The video concludes this section by encouraging viewers to view patience and silence not as burdens but as gifts. They are opportunities to deepen one's relationship with God, build character, and prepare for the future. These disciplines are essential for navigating the complexities of life with wisdom and grace, ensuring that one's journey is rooted in faith and guided by divine wisdom. Through patience and silence, believers demonstrate their trust in God's timing, their commitment to His plan, and their readiness to step into their calling at the appointed time. Ultimately, the message of this part is clear. Patience and strategic silence are not about withholding or delaying, but about creating space for God to work. They are acts of faith that honor God's timing and allow His purpose to unfold in its fullness. By embracing these disciplines, believers position themselves to receive God's blessings, fulfill their mission, and inspire others with the authenticity and power of their journey. Part 6. Cultivating inner peace and resilience. Inner peace and resilience are foundational elements for navigating the spiritual journey of God's chosen ones. The video explores how these qualities are nurtured through practices like silence, reflection, and intentional alignment with God's guidance. Inner peace is not merely the absence of conflict or noise. It is a profound state of tranquility, rooted in the assurance of God's presence and plan. Resilience, in turn, is the strength to face challenges and uncertainties with faith and steadfastness, grounded in this inner peace. The video emphasizes that cultivating inner peace begins with creating a sanctuary within oneself, a sacred space where the noise of the external world is silenced and the heart can rest in God's presence. This sanctuary is built through practices like prayer, meditation, and intentional stillness, all of which allow believers to disconnect from distractions and connect more deeply with the divine. In this quiet space, the chaos of the world fades, and the believer can hear the subtle whispers of God's voice, offering guidance, comfort, and clarity. One of the keys to inner peace is the discipline of letting go, releasing the need to control outcomes, seek validation, or resolve every uncertainty. The video highlights that much of the anxiety and unrest in life stems from trying to carry burdens that were never ours to bear. By surrendering these burdens to God, believers can experience a peace that transcends understanding, as described in Philippians. This peace is not dependent on circumstances, but is a gift that flows from trusting in God's sovereignty and care. Resilience, on the other hand, is cultivated through facing challenges with a spirit of faith and perseverance. The video explains that resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about developing the strength to endure them without losing sight of God's purpose. This strength is built in the hidden, quiet places where inner peace is nurtured. Just as a tree grows deep roots in stillness to withstand storms, believers develop spiritual resilience by grounding themselves in God's word and presence. The connection between inner peace and resilience is profound. Inner peace provides the foundation that enables resilience to flourish. When the heart is at peace, believers are better equipped to handle external challenges without being overwhelmed or discouraged. They can face uncertainty with confidence, knowing that their strength comes not from their own abilities, but from their trust in God. This trust allows them to persevere through trials, drawing on the peace and clarity they have cultivated through their spiritual practices. The video draws on biblical examples to illustrate the interplay between inner peace and resilience. Jesus is portrayed as the ultimate example, often withdrawing to quiet places to pray and recharge, even in the midst of his demanding ministry. His ability to remain calm and focused, even in the face of opposition and suffering, was rooted in his deep connection with the Father. This example serves as a reminder that resilience is not about never feeling fear or doubt, but about returning to God for strength and guidance in every situation. Inner peace also acts as a shield against the distractions and negativity of the world. The video likens it to an anchor that keeps believers steady amidst life's storms. Without this anchor, it is easy to be swept away by fear, anger, or the opinions of others. By cultivating inner peace, believers create a refuge where they can return to God's presence and regain their focus whenever they feel overwhelmed. This practice helps them stay aligned with their purpose and maintain clarity even in the midst of chaos. The video encourages believers to view their challenges as opportunities to grow in resilience. Trials are not punishments, but invitations to deepen faith, develop character, and strengthen reliance on God. Resilience is built through these experiences as believers learn to trust God's timing, embrace His guidance, and persevere with hope. The speaker emphasizes that resilience is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unshaken, but about confronting difficulties with the assurance that God's grace is sufficient. Practically, the video suggests several ways to cultivate inner peace and resilience. These include setting aside time for daily prayer and reflection, practicing gratitude, and creating moments of intentional stillness to connect with God. Believers are also encouraged to limit exposure to unnecessary noise, such as social media or negative conversations, which can disrupt their sense of peace. Instead, they are called to focus on what is true, noble, and praiseworthy, as outlined in Philippians 4:8, allowing these things to shape their thoughts and actions. The video concludes this section by reminding viewers that inner peace and resilience are not instantaneous, but are developed over time through consistent practice and faith. They are gifts that grow as believers commit to seeking God and aligning their lives with His purpose. Inner peace allows believers to rest in the knowledge that they are held by God's love, while resilience equips them to rise above challenges and remain steadfast in their calling. Ultimately, inner peace and resilience are essential for fulfilling the mission of God's chosen ones. They enable believers to face life's uncertainties with confidence, navigate difficulties with grace, and inspire others with their unwavering faith. By cultivating these qualities, believers not only strengthen their own spiritual journey, but also reflect the peace and strength of God to the world around them. This is the heart of the message. Through inner peace and resilience, believers can embody the fullness of God's purpose and live as lights in a noisy and chaotic world. Stepping boldly into your calling. The journey of God's chosen ones is not a path of ordinary existence, but a sacred walk filled with purpose, growth, and divine alignment. As we reflect on the 6 principles shared in this message, trusting in God's timing, embracing silence, dedicating time to reflection and preparation, avoiding external noise, cultivating inner peace, and building resilience, it becomes clear that these are not just spiritual practices, but vital tools for navigating life with wisdom and faith. Through trusting in divine timing, you learn to surrender control and embrace the unfolding of God's perfect plan. By practicing silence, you create space to hear His voice and guard the sacredness of your mission. Reflection and preparation allow you to grow and align your heart with His purpose, ensuring that you are ready for the work He has called you to do. Avoiding external noise helps you remain focused, unshaken by distractions or the opinions of others. Cultivating inner peace grants you a foundation of calm amidst life's storms, while resilience strengthens you to rise above challenges with unwavering faith. These principles are not isolated but interconnected, forming a holistic approach to living a life of spiritual depth and significance. They invite you to move away from the chaos of the world and into the quiet, transformative work that God is doing in your life. This is a journey of intentionality, one that requires discipline, patience, and trust, but the rewards are immeasurable. As you step forward, remember that your calling is unique and sacred. It is not defined by the pace of the world or the expectations of others, but by the divine purpose God has placed within you. Trust that every step you take, no matter how uncertain, is leading you closer to the fulfillment of that purpose. Let silence be your ally, patience your strength, and resilience your anchor as you walk this path. The road ahead may not always be clear, but you are never walking it alone. God is with you, guiding you, equipping you, and preparing you for what lies ahead. So, step boldly into your calling, carrying the wisdom of these principles with you. Trust in His plan, walk in faith, and embrace the sacred journey that has been uniquely designed for you. What comes next is not just a continuation, it is the unfolding of God's extraordinary purpose for your life.